Well, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept a humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Krishna Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace Salika Prabhu. And all glories to some of the Vaishnava devotees. Devotees, we thank you all for being here today, as always. And Salika Prabhu, please, if you are ready, like I said initially, we can't thank you enough for doing this service. We'll put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, good. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much.
You're welcome, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, dear devotees, please accept and humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Krishna Prabhupada. All glories to the revered speaker for today, His Grace Salika Prabhu. And all glories to some of the Vaishnava devotees. Devotees, we thank you all for being here today, as always. And Salika Prabhu, please, if you are ready, like I said initially, we can't thank you enough for doing this service. We'll put the verse on the screen and then you take it over.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It seems you have two devices turned on. Is that the case?
Okay, it's my I understand the uses. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritam Narayachaivam Naruttamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tatujayam Duraye Nasta Praisu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhagavati Nastike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We're still reading it from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are reading chapter 7, text number 27 through to 29. 27 and 28, I guess it's not having a purport, so we'll read 29 also. So text number 27 says, Triyamanusa devanam sares pripapatarit rinam vadana sargasam yuham garbhas vedad vijodbitdam. Translation. Also, please describe the living beings under different classifications: superhuman, subhumans, humans, those born of the embryo, those born of perspiration, those who are twice born, birds, and the plants and vegetables. Kindly describe their generations and subdivisions also. In text number 28. Guna Vatarai Viswaswa Sargastiti Apyayasrayam Srijatan Srinivasa Asyaha Vyaschatyo Daravikramam. Translation. Please also describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature: Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. And please describe the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his magnanimous activities. Purport. Although Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, the three incarnations of the material modes of nature, are the principal deities for the creation, maintenance, and destructions of the cosmic manifestation, they are not the final authority. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the ultimate goal, the cause of all causes, is the Asraya, or the final rest of everything. and year 29. Vana Shrama Vibhagam Schaha Rupa Sila Swabha Avata Rishinam Jamma Karmani Vedasya Chavikashanam. Word for word translation. Varna Ashrama, the 4 divisions of social status and orders of spiritual culture. Vibhagahan, respective divisions. Cha, also. Rupaha, personal features. Silaswa Bhavata, personal character. Rishinam, of the sages. Janma, birth. Karmani, activities. Vedasyaha, of the Vedas. Cha, and. Vikarshanam, categorical divisions. Translation. Purport by the language of Prabhupada. O great sage, kindly describe the divisions and orders of human society in terms of in terms of symptoms, behavior, and the characteristics of mental equilibrium and sense control. Also, please describe the births of the great sages and the categorical divisions of the Vedas. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The 4 statuses and orders of human society, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, as well as Brahmacharis, Grihastas, Vanaprasthas, and Sannyasis are all divisions of quality, education, culture, and spiritual advancement attained by practicing control of the mind and the senses. All these divisions are based on the particular nature of each individual person, not on the principles of birth. Birth is not mentioned in this verse because birth is immaterial. Vidura is famous in history as born of a Sudrani mother, yet he is more than a Brahmana by qualification because he is seen here to be the disciple of a great sage, Maitreya Muni. Unless one achieves at least the Brahmanical qualifications, one cannot understand the Vedic hymns. Mahabharata is also a division of the Vedas, but it is meant for women, Sudra and Dvija Bandhus, the worthless children of the higher section. The less intelligent section of society can avail themselves of the Vedic instruction simply by studying the Mahabharata. Hare Krishna. Oma Gyanam Timiram Dasya Gyanam Shalakaya Shakshu Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutali Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swapada Antikam Vandeyam Sri Guru Sri Yuta Pada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganam Ranghanatam Vitam Tamsa Ajivam Sarvitam Savadutam Parijanam Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishaka Vitamcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakan Chana Gorange Radevin Davaneshwari Rishabhanu Shutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Karpataru Vyascha Kripa Sundubhya Sivascha Patitanam Pavashnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Mokam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Lagayate Girim Yaskripatam Vande Shri Guru Dinatarina Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And the verse once again, O great sage, kindly describe the divisions and orders of human society in terms of symptoms, behavior, and the characteristics of mental equilibrium and sense control. Also, please describe the births of the great sages and the categorical division of the Vedas. Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, once again, I accept my respectful obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for the blessings and opportunity to be able to render this service. As we have been told, His Holiness Kavichana Swami Maharaj was supposed to be speaking to us due to some time constraint in geographical location. Maharaj could not be here. So we come here to take the remnants of Maharaj, and I will pray to all of the Vaishnavas that by their blessings, we may be able to say something that will be purifying to us and also be of pleasure to the devotees and the Lord himself. So we continue the discussion from the readings from third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th chapter, where it is titled The Further Questions Between Vidura and Material Rishi. And here, just as we have heard in several lecture speakers speak from the beginning of this chapter, the subject matter of creation. And what is unique in these three texts that we're reading is that, for my understanding, Vidura is saying here, from the text 27 we started with, please describe the living beings under different classifications: subhumans, humans, those born of the embryo, those born of perspiration, those who are twice born, birds, and the plants and vegetables. Kindly describe their generations and subdivisions. And he further says that, please, dear Maitreya Muni Rishi, also describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. And please, describe the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and its magnanimous activities. And he continues his question in this particular text, 29. The O Great Sage, kindly describe the divisions and orders of human society in terms of symptoms, behavior, and the characteristics of mental equilibrium and sense control. Also, please describe the births of the great sages and the categorical division of the Vedas. So as I was reading this verse, what was coming to my mind first is the quality of the person who was asking the question. It is said that the quality of the student attracts the quality of the teacher. The student here in this context is Vidura. And in the text number 29, Prabhupada is emphasizing the importance of the qualification of the person as to who they are. Vidura here is exemplifying what is the conclusion of the Vaishnava teachings as it relates to the Varna and Ashram. The Varna and Ashram, as taught in the Vedic scripture and by Lord Krishna himself, is meant to give regulations to the created beings. And these created beings of different categories that Vidura is asking about here is giving us an impetus to understand the purpose behind these different creations. When we look at the subject matter of creation and how it is understood by different categories of living entities from different species, it is not surprising that sometimes the Krishna consciousness devotee is considered to be a cultist. I was speaking at a documentary recording on a state government platform today, and there was a discussion about 24 years of crisis on the state, on this plateau. And the question was, there were several speakers from different backgrounds. And the question was, what has happened? What is happening now? What is this next future? And I was explaining exactly what Srila Prabhupada is sharing here, which is the fundamental basis of Krishna consciousness. And that is the glories of Bhakti. Because Krishna consciousness, before anything at all, gives us the ABC of Vedic knowledge. Until and when someone comes to human form of life, understanding any subject matter about God is completely off. The questions that Vidura is asking here can only be asked by someone who is a human being. The characteristics of a person is described based on the way the person talks, the way the person walks, the way the person looks. And that is why Arjuna, when Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, when Krishna was telling Arjuna about the importance of acting on the spiritual platform, after Krishna has given several instructions in the subject matter of the spiritual nature of the living entity, Arjuna asked the question, how do I identify these persons? And that is the basis of the Shista Pragya verses of the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna is describing the qualities of a transcendentalist. So it emphasizes the fact that a person or a human or a demigod or a bird are all characterized by the character of what they thank you. So what is the system of those who are imagined transcendental? How do they speak? What is their language? How does he sit? How does he walk? So Arjuna is asking that question. And Krishna is giving, in the next 7, 8 verses, Krishna is giving explanation, the characteristics of these persons. So when we talked about a personality like Vidura, when he's asking questions, he wasn't asking questions on the basis of some ordinary layman. A madman on the street walking is characterized and described as a madman because he talks irrationally. He behaves irrationally according to human mundane understanding, and therefore is called a madman. And that is why sometimes for a mundane man, it's difficult for him to also understand the transcendentalist. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was exhibiting the highest pure level of pure love of God, he was considered to be a madman. So in any situation in life, knowledge is the foundation of all that represents a person. A person is represented by what he or she knows. And that is why in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, he told Arjuna in chapter 18, text number 19. Arjuna tells Lord Krishna told Arjuna, he said, one who knows me as I am without doubt, who has no doubt about the knowledge of me, he knows everything. Why? Because he is on that supreme level of knowledge. So Vidura here is asking this level of question because he is not on the bodily platform. And Prabhupada glorified him in the purport that the personality of Vidura and his question does not depict a person who is born of a Sudrani. According to the caste system, somebody born of a Sudra is also a Sudra, but that is not what Lord Krishna taught. Lord Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, Chatovanyam Mayas Vista Guna Karma, these qualities are these ashrams, these social status as used by Srila Prabhupada in this context are given by God, but they are determined by quality. So whether someone is calling himself a bhakta, a devotee, a Krishna conscious person, it does not really matter. The name that one gives to himself or others has no importance unless that person's character depicts that. So in the text that we're reading today, the most important fundamental point Srila Prabhupada is wanting us to know is that the social and spiritual orders of life, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudras, Brahman, Shari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi are just names. If they do not represent quality, education, culture, and spiritual advancement attained by practicing control of the mind and senses. So, Vidura, who is asking question in this context, is a perfect example of one who has controlled the senses. So therefore, he could ask questions. When somebody speaks, and Dr. Prabhupada said that in the assembly of gentlemen, a foolish man is known simply when he opens his mouth. So one is a bhakta, one is a devotee, one is a sannyasi, one is a grihastha, not just because they are given this title. When I was speaking earlier on today, the host was asking me a question. He said, you started a speech about history with the word unfortunate. Why did you use that word? And I was explaining that it is unfortunate because on the plateau, 24 years ago, the circumstances that led to the mass killing of over 1,000 persons has graduated, not just that it has existed, but it has graduated by an official report as at last 2024. Between 2001 and 2024, 53,000 persons has been recorded officially to have been killed related to crisis, religious crisis, communal crisis. And in the same way, in devotion and service, this is the same thing. Sometimes we look at how long have I joined the movement? How long have you joined the movement? How long has he joined the movement? But these are all important and wonderful only if it manifests the quality of that numbers of years. Vidura is showing by his questions here that he is not thinking and talking on the bodily platform. He's asking these deep questions based on the fact that he has come to a level of knowledge that is beyond the ordinary man. And so Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that the quality, the education, culture, and spiritual advancement attained by practicing control of the mind is what makes the social status of life. It is not otherwise. The social statuses of life is determined by the culture, by the education, by the quality that an individual exhibits. And Vidura is exhibiting this quality here because of the statuses that is attained, not based on his birth. Srila Prabhupada emphasized that the Mahabharata, which is a division of the Vedas, was written for people of low class, but even the Mahabharata, the modern 21st century man cannot understand. Then how then can you expect a quality life? In a recent conference, somebody was asking, it said, we are hopeful next year will be better than this year. And I said, how is that going to be possible? Next year cannot be better than this last year or this year because the quality of our engagement last year is better than our today. So the next tomorrow is going to be worse than yesterday. The degradation of civilization. There is so many, the modern man has so many multifarious challenges. And these challenges as a result of the fact of the quality of knowledge they have. By materialistic gymnastics or manipulation of material energy cannot bring about advancement in civilization. Whether we call it technology, whether we call it AI, whether we call it anything, whatever it is that the man can manipulate in nature's arrangement cannot give him an advancement or characterize or understandable life. Unless what? Unless that person develops the quality of education, quality of culture that is rooted in the Vedic teachings. And so therefore, Lord Brahma, after so much of austerities, controlling the mind and the senses, he concluded, he said, Ishwara Paraman Krishna Sakchidananda Vrigraha Anadyadi Govindam Sarvakaranam Karanam. That Krishna is the supreme personality of God, is the supreme controller because of knowledge that is characterized by austerity, sense control, as Prabhupada used in the purport of the text we're reading today. So when we look at the text and we look at the question Vidura is asking in the previous verse in text number 28, Vidura is asking, is asking Maitreya to describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Last week Sunday, we were celebrating Ram Navami, and one of the participants in the celebration was very new to Krishna consciousness. And he was asking, when I started speaking about the glories of Lord Ramachandra as the supreme personality of Godhead, and how it's not different from Krishna, then he asked a question. He said, what? Just last month, you were celebrating the supreme personality of Godhead, and again now, you're saying celebrating the supreme personality of Godhead. Confused. Last month, you said the supreme personality of Godhead is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But today, again, you are saying the supreme personality of Godhead is Ramachandra. God. That is why we say that the Hindus, they worship so many gods. And that is what Lord Brahma said in the Brahma Samhita page. Adulabam Atma Bhaktao Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Unless one's eye is purified, is served with the pure love of God, he cannot understand. Even when one reads or participates in Vedic rituals, there are those who has been associating with Krishna consciousness for years, for decades now. But even that person cannot understand the supreme personality of God or its manifestation. Because all of this does not give. Lord Krishna, he told Arjuna, to them who are devoted to serving with devotion, he said, I give the understanding by which they come to me. And he explains how he does that. I reside in the ark of the living entity. I, who is sitting on testament of an experience of a student on the path of Krishna consciousness. Although Arjuna is a liberated soul, but he played the role of an ordinary living entity to give us an inkling into how acquisition of knowledge is important. In modern times, every human being is confused. Even Lord Brahma in the beginning of creation was confused. But by the process of self-control, controlling the mind and the senses, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport of the text 29, by controlling of the mind and senses, one can develop the strength for the quality education, culture of spiritual advancement. So in the essence of this text we're reading, Srila Prabhupada is focusing more of the statuses they occupy. Now, Srila Prabhupada advised that the less instead
Well, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Seems our speaker was having some technical hitches. We hope he will be able to join back. I think his connection was a bit weak.
Maybe if you switch off his video.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. It's back.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
So sorry.
It's okay. Yeah.
Manifested a glory.
Hare Krishna.
My network went down for no reason. I don't know for Hare Krishna. So sorry for that break. So anyway, so to summarize on the text of today, that the text 2029 is actually emphasizing on the importance of qualification rather than the statuses that one occupies. Whether one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, whatever, the importance is less important considered to the quality that one manifests. So, as a devotee on the path of Krishna consciousness, our focus is how much are we advancing? It is not about being 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years in Krishna consciousness. It is about what quality do we manifest. Srila Prabhupada is not glorified all over the three worlds because he called himself an acharya. It is because of the quality that he manifests. And all the previous acharyas, their glorification is not based on the title. It is based on the quality that which they manifest. So here, Prabhupada is taking the opportunity of Vidura's question to emphasize the qualification of Vidura. And Vidura is asking about this deep, complex subject matter because Vidura is not just an ordinary person. Because a person's question reflects the level of consciousness of that person. When a person is speaking, immediately an intelligent person will know whether this person is educated or is a foolish person. Just like a madman is immediately identified by his irrational speech. There are madmen on the street, sometimes you see, nicely dressed, but the moment he started behaving irrationally, immediately we say, oh, this person is insane because his characteristics are displayed there. So the characteristics that one displays is of higher importance than the title or quality. And in Krishna consciousness, we see this in so many ways. There are so many who are attracted by the positions, the title, or what Prabhupada uses, the statuses. But the statuses are of no use if the quality of education and advancement is not manifested in the way the person represents in or herself in the appear. And there are questions or comments or contributions, corrections, or maybe there are some chastisement. That is welcome. Hare Krishna.
Well, Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji, as always, for always being ready to step in whenever necessary. And thank you for the wonderful delivery, even though it was just like 10 minutes preparation to put on tilak and whatever to come and sit here. So it's like you only saw the texts while you were reading it here. And for you to speak, it's very inspiring. So dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you will be asked to unmute to ask your question or to speak. And our humblest apologies to all the devotees who were here to hear from His Holiness. Like we were saying earlier on, Maharaj could not be here today because of his geographical location. As we're speaking now, it's almost midnight into morning for him, so he could not be here today. So we thank you for your presence, and if you have some questions, please you may go ahead and ask. See, Prabhupada, of course, I knew Maharaj was going to speak, so I just read through the texts. I did not even read the preface. I just read through the texts. And I was wondering why Vidura was asking so many questions. Sometimes some of his questions were not strictly like for spiritual inquiries, but also for how living beings can live quite comfortably and in this material world. And I was thinking, you were asked to approach Maitreya Rishi by Uddhava for spiritual enlightenment, but here you are, you're asking lots of questions that are like material. So my question to you is, how do we try to practice spirituality side by side with material knowledge and awareness, and how to live in this material world?
Thank you. Let us start by reiterating one fact, that When we talk about material knowledge, understanding. Aham sarvasia prabhava mata sarva pravata te iti matu bajanti man buddha bhava samavita. Everything is emanating from Krishna. Krishna is supreme spiritual. Is embodiment of spirituality. So everything coming up from him is spiritual. But because the living entity has found himself in an environment that is characterized by dualities, so for him to be able to regain his original status, and then when you look at the text, this chapter we're looking at, when in the conversation between Sukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, when you look at text from text number 7 to 10, you will see what happened that led to this question that you are asking. In text number 7 of this chapter, Vidura was saying, I'm trying to go back to that verse. Okay, here it says, "Oh great and learned one, my mind is greatly illusioned." Vidura is speaking here. "It's greatly illusioned by the distance of the nescience. I therefore request you to clear it up." If you go to text number 7 of this same chapter, Vidura is saying, "Oh great and learned one, my mind is greatly illusioned." He's saying that my mind is illusioned by distress of this nescience. So I therefore request you to clear it up. That is the basis of the conversation that led to this topic. Because in the material world, the living entity is conditioned. And the great souls that come into this material world, the Nitya Siddhas, when they come into this world, and that was why I was referencing Arjuna in the course of the discussion, when they come into this material world, they come and act like an ordinary living entity to solve the problem of the conditioned living entities. Although they themselves are not conditioned, but they put themselves in the state of conditioning so that they can help the conditioned soul to get out of the conditioning situation. And for them to be able to get to understand themselves and situation. So the conditioned situation has to be analytically expressed. So that is why when you look at the text 7, Vidura says, "I'm greatly and therefore request you." So Sukadev Goswami said, "O King Maitreya, being thus agitated by the Vidura, at first seems astonished." Maitreya himself, he was astonished. Why was he astonished? But then he replied to him without hesitation, since he was fully God conscious. Because Vidura was fully God conscious, Maitreya Muni was fully God conscious. So if both of them are acting for the welfare of the living entity, like Prabhupada always often reference, that the life of a devotee or a pure devotee is to live for others. So Maitreya Muni, when Vidura asked that question, immediately Vidura asked that question, he was astonished. Why is it's just like Sahadev asked me now, "Salika Prabhu, where does Sahadev live?" Then I wonder, why is he asking me? Because both me and Sahadev knows where Sahadev lives. So a pure devotee understands another pure devotee. So when that Vidura wasn't understands Krishna energy, both external, internal, and the marginal energy of Krishna. He understands all of these things, but for the well-being, for the welfare of all conditions, so Vidura is act like an ordinary layman. So he started asking that question. Then when you go further in the time, so material money started answering him. He said certain conditions souls put forward is overcome by illusion or Maya, and at the same time they maintain that is on condition. This is against all logics. So he started explaining. If you see what material money is doing there, excuse me, material money was expressing the conception, the perception of a living ordinary condition soul, and he wants to correct that. So when he started answering Vidura, he didn't answer Vidura the question that Vidura was asking about directly. He first was analyzing how a condition soul thinks. What is their conception? What is their perception? How they see things. So because that is what he wants to destroy. He wants to destroy the ignorance born out of that. But that I'm greatly pained by my nescience, by ignorance. The real problem of the living, and this ignorance is what causes everything. It's ever blissful. That is the difference between a conditioned soul and a liberated soul. A liberated soul is always happy. Why? Because he understands things as they are. A conditioned soul does not know. And because he does not know, fear, the first thing he manifests is fear. And because of that fear, he starts engaging in multiple levels of conditional activities just to allay that fear, because he's thinking tomorrow I have to eat and I don't have a food to eat. So he started making all kinds of mistake upon mistakes. And in this way, he continuously entangled himself. So the pure devotee, they understand this. So when Vidura was asking material money understand where Vidura was coming from. So he started addressing the perception of the conditioned soul in the material world from different perspectives. And when you go further in his answer, then he said, in test number 10, he said the living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background, like a man who dreams. He sees his head cut off. Then he goes further. He said, as the moon reflects, he started giving different examples. As the moon reflected on water appears to the seer to tremble due to being associated with the quality of the water. So the self associated with matter appears to be qualified as matter. But the misconception of self-identity can be diminished gradually by the mercy of the personality of God and Vasudev through the process of devotional service to the Lord in the mode of detachment. So this is the purpose. So the purpose for talking about material subject matter a person's disease is lifestyle. As a person in the medical field, you understand this. When someone comes to the hospital, he's diseased, he has a very high fever, he's shivering like anything, he's having a high-level headache. The doctor does not give him a malaria medication immediately. What he does immediately is what? It brings his temperature to a normal level. It brings him to normal conscious. It brings him to a state of steadiness. Then he starts treating the problem. No intelligent doctor would start treating the disease, even when he knows. And in most cases, the doctor, who's an experienced doctor, will not start treating the patient without analyzing what is his problem. So he brings him to steadiness first, and he start finding out what is his real problem. Then he start analyzing them. So in the same way, Vidura and Maitreya here, they are dramatists acting under the influence of the Supreme Lord's arrangements to bring the conditions, so who is already conditioned in the material and science, out of that situation. And for that purpose, they have to express, just like I was explaining when in the documentary we went for recording this morning, when they were asking me, everybody was speaking something. When speaking, the host, he said, "Sir, I've heard so much about you. I'm flabbergasted. Say, what you're speaking is completely off, everybody." And it makes a whole lot of sense. He said, it is true. He said, the fact is this, that there have been so many interventions since 2001 till now. Numbers of deaths. He gave us statistics of how much money has been spent. Because before I went to that, just like we learned from Guru Dev, I went researching and I found the numbers of amount of money that has been spent on crisis-related situation in Jos alone. I looked at the number of deaths between 2001 and 2024. I researched all of that. So when I started speaking, I said, it's explained. He said, oh my God. He said, all of these people are just talking the normal thing we hear on a daily basis. He said, even a madman will want to listen to you. Although you are considered to be in the last 2 weeks on the plateau, there has been over 100 killings of innocent persons by some based on ethnicity and tribal herdsmen and farmers crisis. So they're trying to find a solution. Just 3 days ago, the state government constituted an interreligious council. And in interreligious council, because of politics, the Hare Krishna movement was not called. But the Plateau Peace Practitioner Network knows that they cannot do anything without calling the Hare Krishna people. So they called. And he was asked, one of the questions was asking, he said, how do you see? I said, well, you want me to make trouble? Because the governor is going to hear this. I said, but the governor has made a mistake. Because the first mistake he made is that he is constituting an interreligious council. And he says in Nigeria it's a secular place. Why are the ATRs? Where are the people of other faiths? And he's saying that just peace is standing on the base of justice. Where is the justice? So therefore, the basis of knowledge is rooted in the understanding of the speaker. And that is why the Papa did an expert job in the purport, and Prabhupada is so marvelous. So Prabhupada, Prabhupada knew what Vidura was asking, but Prabhupada was not talking about that. In this purport, Prabhupada just focused on what? The qualities of Vidura, which is what Maitreya Muni has acknowledged in the beginning of answering his question, that Vidura was not just asking a question, it was not relating to his question, it started relating to the quality of the person asking question and why he's asking that question. And he concluded his answer before he started elaborating that the ultimate thing is bhakti, devotion and service. That if all of this does not bring you to the quality of manifestation of bhakti, then it is a futile thing. So material question, back to your questions to summarize, back your material analysis, material situations are expressed in relation to spiritual development because the living is already in a material consciousness, and for him to come out of that, he needs to even understand his environment first, then he can be taken to a higher level of consciousness. I hope this answers your question, bro.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. Thank you so much, because if I do not understand myself, if I do not who I am, then what else can I do? So thank you. Anyone else with something to ask or to share, please? Well, it seems devotees are very much satisfied, which is what we're all looking for. Madhavan Prabhu seems to have. Madhavan Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Salika, Prabhu Ki. All grace, all grace, all grace. And thank you very much for always being there for us. So we so much appreciate. Please also want us to shed more light on this hospitals and others of human society, which we call the Vanashian system. From my own little, I want to believe that Krishna, in his wisdom, tried to create human society. He created us in these 4 different states of social statuses, so that the human society can run smoothly.
Yeah, he's breaking up, but I can hear him though.
Okay,
yeah.
Maybe I should off. Maybe I should off my.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you go ahead, Madhavan Prabhu.
Okay. So I believe Krishna in his wisdom, he created the human society in the 4 different social orders so that the society can run concurrently. For instance, if you look at it, look at any establishment, either company or even ministry. You know, we have somebody at the top, the MD, then we have the managers, then we have the security, then we also have the purchasing officers, and then we have the lower class, the junior workers. So, you know, the human society, they are now divided into these social categories so that things can run concurrently. For instance, if you are the MD of a company, you cannot be the sweeper, you cannot be the messenger, you cannot be the gate man. So I believe like this, Christian now organize these 4 statuses, which entails the what do you call it? We have the Shudras, we have the Vaishyas, and we have the Shastras, then we have the Brahmanas. So then so that takes care of the quality according to the nature, human nature. Then in terms of education, we have the spiritual orders. You know, you start from being a brahmachari, where you train. So that training, you train how to control your mind and your senses. Then you graduate from there to be a grasta, you know. Then being a grasta also, that practice of mind and control is also very essential. Then above that, you go to a retired stage, which is the vanaprastha, then science. So all those ones are based on human development, how you develop yourself. But basically, one has to know which of the social status he naturally belongs, according to how Bhagavad Gita explains it, or how Krishna explains it in Bhagavad Gita. One has to, there must be self-discovery. You know, either you have the nature of a Shastra, or you have the nature of a Vaishya or a Sudra. So, I don't know what you have to say about that, but that is my own basic understanding about the Varnashram system. So I would like to hear your comments.
Thank you very much, Madhavan Prabhu,
Hare
for
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
comments. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for your comments. What you said is true. The arrangement of systematic growth is made by Krishna himself, so it can never be faulted. According to spiritual understanding, one can either systematically grow stage by stage, but that does not mean that someone can also, when we look at our scriptures, if I understand your comment very properly, when you look at someone like, let us even talk about Haridas Thakur, who was born in a degraded lower family, according to Vedic standard. He became the Nama Acharya. He became the Nama Acharya. Why? Because it was not based on those systematic growth. Spiritual advancement is not dependent on all of this. It is a process given for spiritual growth, but it is not limited to it. For general mass of persons, they have to grow from one ashram to the other ashram. Sorry, just excuse me. So the social and spiritual orders of life are given for systematic growth, which is natural for every general living entities in the material world. That is the arrangement of the Lord himself. But it does not necessarily mean that everyone must go through that ladder. There are those, even in our present system, that we call them nicely brahmachari. Where they from the brahmacharya life, they became a sannyasi. They don't have to get into my grihastha life. Not that they have to go through the route of a vanaprastha. There are those who became brahmachari. They practiced brahmacharya life. They took the grihastha life. But from there, they took sannyasi. So these orderliness are there for systematic growth. But the attainment of spiritual growth is not limited to this. That is my understanding. It is required for everyone to go through the normal ladder to climb to the highest level of spiritual attainment. But by special grace and mercy, one can get a double promotion depending on the quality of those persons' endeavor in the part of devotional service.
Thank you very much. I quite agree with you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Like Lord Chintama Prabhu is from, from brahmachari straight to sannyas. Sannyas stage of things.
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got married. He married twice.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. But I always say that just like in material education,
Thank you very much.
the normal standard is that at the end of the semester, you get promoted to the next class.
Yeah.
Sometimes some students are retained. They do not move to the next class. And sometimes there are some students also, they do not just move to the next, but they move to the 2-3 extra classes ahead because of their performance. So
yeah, I have a practical experience of that. When it comes to education, I didn't have experience of going to secondary class 1 and 2. I rose from primary 6 education to class 3 in secondary school. And that was because when I finished secondary school in those days, when we were growing, there is what they call approved and non-approved schools, government approved and non-government approved. So when I finished primary school, I did not get admission to school. So I enrolled for distance learning. And I got my first and second diploma before I get to secondary school. So when I went to secondary school, when I got to the entrance examination, I was not given admission. I was worried. Then they said I should come the following day. I didn't know they wanted to test me for the next class. And after I sat for the second class, they said I should come the third day. When I went the third day was when I realized what was happening, that they were taking me to different classes to test me because of the performance I presented in the first day. And so my secondary school started from class 3. I didn't have experience of class 1 and 2. And that even in a material life. So I experienced that. So it's possible sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Shimamara Acharya, please, you may unmute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. Thank you very much, Salika Prabhu. I'm kind of, I just want to make some comment on Madhavan Prabhu's question about the purpose of an ashram. I see that you are interested in the subject of Banashram, and I advise you to try to study it more in-depthly. The purpose of Banashram is to help people to attain salvation in a corporate manner. What I mean by corporate, like mass salvation that people are able to attain by working together as one body. So it's a corporate salvation, not individual salvation, but corporate salvation. So just as the body has different parts, but they work together mutually, and they attain whatever goal together. So the same way, the social body can work together because we are all interconnected. So through our working together, even those who are not so qualified can also attain salvation. This is the purpose of an ashram. To make it easier for general mass of people who are not so gifted in spiritual practice or in austerity or in spiritual education. But by their little participation, just like the hand and the legs and every part of the body work together, they also benefit. So this is the purpose of an ashram. What you've been describing, or what we've been hearing about the systematic development, that is actually for the ashrams. But we're talking about Varna ashram. So the Varna is actually what Krishna said he has created. Yeah. Chaturvayam Maya system. Krishna said, I have created the 4 social divisions. The spiritual classes, they come about from what is happening in the social strata. It's how do you say, a follow-up. So anyway, this Varnashram is a very deep subject matter, because based on its precepts and practices, the whole human society can be transformed. It is what we have as devotees, as Vaishnavas, is what we have to present to the people as the social system that can make everyone live happily here and also in the hereafter. Socialism, communism, capitalism, they failed and they have their limits. But the Vedic system offers Varnashram as the best social system that can cater for both material and spiritual needs at the same time. And wherever you are in the social strata, you can also attain salvation. You don't necessarily have to become sannyasi, brahmana, or whatever. Krishna simply says, man can attain perfection by acting according to his nature, by executing the nature, the duty that is according to his nature. That is what Krishna says. So that is just a summary about Varnashram. But this is a very interesting subject matter, and I'm happy that you're making effort. You're trying to understand it. So please make sure that you look for more materials on this matter. It's very, very interesting. It is very, very interesting. So anyway, that's just my little comment. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Sumavara Acharya Prabhu. Undoubtedly, for this age of Kali, the Varnashram dam system is crucial and very important. And to the degree one can able to understand it, the degree it can maneuver the complexities of this age.
Yeah. Well, thank you all devotees. Vidura was asking questions about the nature of the subhumans, the humans, the twice born, which Srila Prabhupada explains to be birds, vegetation, plants. So if there is no Varnashram in human society, then it is a subhuman society. But if we consider ourselves humans, then there must be Varnashram. So no Varnashram means no human society. The sociology is corrupt. Of course, we see that there is Varnashram system everywhere, except that it is not well organized. But wherever you go, they have somebody as their leader, and people listen to them, these various leaders. So nobody will have to tell them that you should have a leader. It comes automatically because that is the system Krishna has put in place. Well, thank you all devotees, and we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna.
Sir, can I quickly add
Sure.
something?
Sure, yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, because when you were speaking, you said Varnashram exists in only human society. Yeah. If there's no Varnashram, then it's a subhuman. But we could see if you study a lot of the life of animals, especially like the bees, and even the black ants. And the ants that build ant hill,
Yeah.
they have the system like that.
Yeah.
They have the Kshatriyas, they have the, what do we call it, the queen or the king.
Yeah.
They have the soldiers, they have the workers, and all this, and they work perfectly according to their nature, perfectly.
Yeah.
Because somebody was explaining to me the lives of the bees, and if you hear it, everybody is working perfectly in his own social order.
Yeah.
Nobody crosses his boundary. So how do we explain that?
Well, I'm not the speaker, but it seems this is addressed to you because of what I said. But I don't know if Salika you want to answer. But what I would like to say is that yes, animals also have social orders that they follow. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them, like you rightly said, of bees. The only difference between the orders followed by these lower animals and that of humans is that the lower animals follow this not to progress to become spiritual, but humans are supposed to follow this different phases of life to become spiritual, or different categorizations to become spiritual, because we are endowed with both the social and the spiritual, whereas the animals are not very much endowed with the spiritual. They may be endowed with the social. And therefore, in the animal world, they have no ashrams. They have no grihastas, brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyas ashrams. But we do have them in human societies. So I don't know if that response helps in any way. Salika, if you want to say something, or
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. If you already explained it, but the only thing I want to explain or add to that is just that you were going to say something which you diverted to another point in that Vana and Ashram, when you said Vana and Ashram is what makes a human being, I can understand from the perspective from where you're coming, because what you just said, that the animals does not have, they have their own regulative lifestyle, which is the social orders of life. the spiritual orders of life, that is, if we look at it more deeply, we'll see that actually Varna Ashram just brings one to the platform of human being. That is why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his conversation with Ramananda Rai, rejected it. Because when you practice and become perfect follower of Varna and Ashram, you become a better human being. It does not necessarily bestow upon you, because the highest level of the social order is Brahmana. Brahmana. When you become a Brahmana, then you start becoming to go to become a Bhakta. So devotional service of Bhakti or spirituality is far, far ahead of the social and spiritual orders of life. The social orders of life is called the spiritual order of life because it regulates you towards coming to the platform of human being so that you can practice spiritual life. But that does not entail spirituality in itself, in the real sense of it, because, and that is why, even in Bhagavad Gita 1854, Lord Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasu Shati Nakang Shati Samasaveshu Bhuteshu. When you come to that platform, Bhuteshu platform, when you come to that human platform, then Bhakti starts. So, and then when you come to the platform of a Brahmana, which is the highest level, then at that point, the spiritual life starts. So it helps you to come to that platform, but it does not actually, and that is why sometimes, even in our society today, there are some who misunderstood that because somebody has become a Brahman, or initiated as a Brahman, or is called a sannyasi, then he has become a pure devotee. And that's a misconception. The fact that somebody is, even if he qualifies to be a Brahmana, when I joined devotional service, I was in that illusion. When I was coming to devotional service, actually what brought me to Krishna consciousness is that I wanted to become a Brahmana, because when I read about the qualities of a Brahmana, it was so fascinating to me that I said, no, I had to develop this quality because I was a tapasvi, even before I became a devotee. So I practiced a lot of austerity from my previous tradition. So, but when I read about qualities of a Brahmana, I wanted to become a Brahmana. So that's why I joined Krishna consciousness. I want to develop the quality of a Brahmana. But when I came into Krishna, I realized that just being a Brahmana is not enough. It's just the beginning. Like Gita Govinda Prabhu said, it's just the beginning. When you become a Brahmana, and you know what it means to become a Brahmana, you have to develop the 12 qualities. And how many of us can exhibit or clearly say that we have the 12 qualities attained? So that, but the glories of Bhakti is that even when you don't have all of these 12 qualities, they naturally manifest in you when you become a devotee. So when I came to join Krishna consciousness, I let go of my desire to become a Brahmana. I embraced Bhakti. So even in the process, I was initiated as a Brahmana, but my focus has shifted from being a Brahmana to a Bhakta. And that's all I wanted to have. Hare Krishna. Madhavan Prabhu asked his hand up.
Yeah.
So we have to go soon because the battery is going to go off.
Okay, sorry, just briefly. I think Altaka Prabhu, who asked the question, he was deliberating about the social order, which the bees or the termites exhibits naturally. You know, animals, they operate in their format, specific format, you know, but in the human society, why we don't have that harmony is because nowadays our leaders, they don't have the quality. Maybe somebody has the quality of sugar, but because he has money or one reason or the other, he became the president or something like that. So all these things is causing confusion in the human society. So I think that was the reason why the human society is not running just perfectly as it was explained in the other human society. I think that's what it's trying for. I don't know if I'm making any.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Well, the witness, we thank you all as always, and we honestly and truly appreciate your participation and helping us all thread on this path of going back to Godhead in this lifetime by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. So with that being said, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, His Grace Salika Prabhu. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Kalpa
Nacha Kalpata
Kalpatarubyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha
Namo
Namo
Vishnu,
Namyo
Namo
Namaste, Namo
Srila
Namaha.
Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Jai Prabhupada.
Thakur.